You don't need a lot of money to start a lawn care business. I'll break down an affordable and cheap way to start yours. One of the first things you need to do when you start in a business is register that business. So you can do a DBA or LLC. If you're not really sure or doing it on the side, I would suggest a DBA. If you think this is going to be a long-term thing, I would just go ahead and jump as a sole proprietor LLC. If you have a partner, then you can do a partnership LLC. Typically, this is going to be 20 to 100 bucks depending on where you are in the United States. You can also use services such as LegalZoom. You go ahead and put all the information that you need in the system. They'll go ahead and register in the state that you're in. They obviously going to charge a little bit more of a fee on top of that, but if you're not sure how to do it, that's an easy way to get started. And I really wouldn't overthink that too much right now. So we start off as a DBA and we switch to an LLC, or you can start with an LLC. It doesn't really matter that much. The next thing is trying to figure out what kind of equipment you're going to use. I recommend starting used instead of buying new because, again, you have to prove that model. So you're going to be working on the weekends or part-time or just starting. You want to actually do that from the jump. For example, we started with a used walk-behind Toro. We ended up getting it from a shop. It was rebuilt. We spent $1,200 for it. I put $600 in. My mom and dad put the other $600 in, and that's how we got our first commercial mower. You may only need a push mower, so I would recommend checking Facebook Marketplace, or you can buy new if you want. You can get some mowers between $100 and $1,000, even some used walk-behinds around that amount as well. Then you want to get your hand tools. You can get those new. You can get some homeowner editions, for example, the weed eater, edgers, and blowers. They're all should be less than 300 bucks. So you can get a couple of those to get your hand tools. Again, if you have bigger lawns, the average lawn that we service is about 1/3 of an acre, so it's a little bigger. Some people do not like pushing yards that's that big. And you want to start with cash as much as possible. You want to avoid debt. Again, we're trying to prove the model. You're just starting your business. So you don't want to go out and get a big loan or a huge credit line just to be able to get some equipment. And you're not sure if you're going to make that money back. You can do this once you prove your model maybe, but it's up to you. On that equipment note, you might wonder, do I need a truck? Some people don't need a truck. You can use a car or a van if you just have a push mower with all your equipment in the back. But if you do need to get a truck, get a used truck, a beat up truck, something like that. If you don't have the money to get a brand new truck, something that's like 5 to 10 years old, something that you can get on the road. And once again, you prove that model, you'll make the money to pay off that truck or upgrade to a new truck. Also, you may need a trailer. Obviously, you'll need a truck to pull that trailer. Some people pull trailers with their cars. I don't think that's a good idea. For example, when we first started, we used the SS10. You know, that's not a V8. And we had 2 of those SS10s. Both of them blew an engine. They're not strong enough to be hauling stuff. So I wouldn't recommend that. Again, some guys get away with it. But if you're doing this every day or every weekend or however you're starting your company, I would recommend getting that used truck with a trailer combo. Get a used 5x10, or you can get something new. They're usually on the smaller end. It'd be a couple grand versus it being a $10,000, $12,000, $15,000 enclosed trailer. Again, trying to save money while we're starting this business. We've registered our company, we got our equipment, we got our truck, or you're gonna use your car. Now we gotta figure out how to market to get those new customers. To get your first few customers, you wanna make sure you got a really well-made website. You can use Wix if you're just starting out. They have decent SEO. I will stay away from GoDaddy. If I had to tell myself when we first started our business, I would stay away from GoDaddy, to be honest with you. Squarespace as well. I would recommend Wix or a WordPress site if you can afford it. You wanna do all the free listings. So like a Facebook listing, Yelp, Angie's List, these places that allow you to list your listing for free. You may be bombarded with salespeople later, but you wanna get that free listing out there. Your friends and family, you wanna talk to them, say, hey, I'm starting this business, if you guys can help me out. Maybe they need their grass cut, or they can tell their neighbors about you starting your lawn company. And you can do door knocking. Start with the neighborhood that you're in. You can go to your friends and family neighborhood. Just start spreading the word about your new company. Once you got the hang of that and get your first few customers, you'll go ahead and upgrade the door hangers. I only put these on the bottom because they cost a little bit more money than just the website. Door hangers, obviously, you got to pay for the print, and you got to either hand it out yourself, you're just starting, or you have to pay someone to hand those out. And then pay-per-click, which is going to be on Google or Bing or whatever, that's going to cost you a budget. So you have to make some money first, and then you can upgrade to this to continue getting those new customers. Your first few customers are very critical. It could be your friends, family, and your neighbors. What you want to do is either discount the services or maybe even give it to them for free. And you ask them for an honest review. I put honest there, but obviously we want a 5-star, but to keep you compliant, you want to just say, hey, give me an honest review. Most people give you a little bit of money anyway, but that way you get your first 10 or 15 customers and you'll get those reviews pouring in on different platforms so that you can get more customers that's going to be paying you later. When you're first starting out, there's a tendency to keep it all in your mind or write it down on a piece of paper. That might work for your first 5 to 20 customers, but once you want to scale past that and really make this a business, you'll want to get some type of software. Yardbook is out there for starters. It's free. You can put your customers in there. You can route. There's a lot of functionality that you can get out of it for free. They do have a paid tier, but it's only $40 a month. If not, you can use things like Copilot or Homeworks. These are softwares that have a cheaper tier or a free tier if you have less than a certain amount of customers. This is all in an attempt to keep you more organized and allow you to route efficiently, and it's going to help you grow and scale. All right, so we've registered our company. We got our equipment, we got our truck, we know it's software, we know how we're going to market, and we got a few customers. Now we got to figure out how we're going to be pricing going forward. Again, those first few customers, try to get some reviews, discount your services, but those next batch of customers, you want to make sure we're priced to make profit. That's a mistake we made really early on, where we weren't charging enough for where we were trying to go. And we had to do a lot of price increases and tweaks to get to where we are now. That's after we had a large amount of overhead. So your pricing should cover your wage, your fuel, your blades, your maintenance, your drive time, and any software or phone system that you may be using, and still make money. So some people don't understand that. So profit should include your salary. So when Microsoft is making profits, they make sure they C-suite and everybody else is paid, and Microsoft as the company makes money on top of that. They can reinvest it or pay it to their shareholders or whatever, but you got to make profit on top of covering these things. So just keep that in mind. Don't try to be the cheapest in town because you want to get those quality customers as you're growing. So all in all, we've started this company and we're going to be between $1,200 and $12,000, depending if you need that truck and trailer. If you don't need that truck, you're gonna get that DBA made. You're gonna maybe have a mower, maybe it's a push mower. You're gonna get your weed whacker, your edger, your blower, and you're gonna get that website made. So really it's not that costly to start if you wanna get scrappy with it. Like I said, we started around this lower number as well when we first started. Whether you already got a company or you're about to start your company, I would subscribe to the channel if you wanna learn real tactical advice on how you can scale your company to 500,000 and beyond.